times in the Tour de France yesterday when he rode home alone to win in the mist of La Bourboule. The Spaniard Miguel Indurain kept his lead and stays on course for victory in Paris. Hello again and welcome to the Tour de France. Well, as you can see, the weather has much improved in the spa town of La Bourboule this morning. It's a far cry from the downpour that greeted the riders in the fog yesterday. Miguel Indurain is now leaving the mountains of the Tour de France, a very comfortable leader, and but for an unforeseen happening, will surely win this year's Tour de France. Let's remind ourselves this morning of all of the leaders in the main classifications of the race. The Tour de France waves goodbye to the mountains with Miguel Indurain leading Claudio Chiappucci by 1 minute and 42 seconds. Andy Hampsten, the winner at Alpe d'Huez, is third, 8 minutes and 7 seconds back. Pascal Lino is fourth, Gianni Bugno is fifth. Of the rest of our fancy contenders, Pedro Delgado is sixth, Eric Breukink seventh. Stephen Roche holds on to ninth place. Despite that win yesterday, he hasn't improved. Robert Miller drops a further place to 17th. And another stage winner in the last few days, Franco Chioccioli, he's in 19th place. So Miguel Indurain, untroubled in the mountains, his face never gives anything away, he just sits there and pedals like a metronome. In the King of the Mountains competition, Claudio Chiappucci has built an unassailable lead, 409 points against Richard Virenque's 237. Franco Chioccioli is third here with 209. Well, Claudio Chiappucci laid the foundation for his second victory in the King of the Mountains competition on that wonderful Saturday when the race went into Italy, and that long historic lone breakaway by him that gave him a moment to savour. In the green jersey competition, that has become a great battle between two men. Laurent Jalabert has the leader's green jersey at the moment. It could change any day. In second place is the Belgian champion, Johan Museeuw, and to prove his consistency, Claudio Chiappucci is in third place in this competition. You know, I think this competition will go all the way down to the very last sprint on the Champs-Élysées. Now, we're on the road today from La Bourboule to Montluçon. The Tour de France hasn't been to Montluçon for 26 years. On that occasion, the winner was Henk Nijdam. Well, today his son Jelle is in the Tour de France, and Paul Schoen asked the obvious question: was he going to keep it in the family?
I hope so. It's now 26 years ago and I was a little kid, and I hope that I can win, and then it stays in the family. Yeah, it will be great when it is so.
So any special tactic for the day? You're going to go for a long breakaway or just try and wait for the sprint?
I don't know. We are now with 4 men, and in the sprint, maybe in the first group, I don't know. It shall be difficult.
So everybody's going to be watching you in Holland today?
I hope so, but I do my best. That's the only thing what I can do.
Will the family be watching you on television?
I'm sure about that, yes. My father also.
And the pressure on Jelle Nijdam this morning as the field roll away from La Bourboule. The first time that small spa town has welcomed the Tour de France. This is the route they face today. It's 189 kilometres, all downhill, isn't it really? 950 metres at the start point, and we finish at Montluçon at 210 metres, and just 4 small climbs and 2 sprint points along the route. The sun's shining this morning, and the riders thankful about that after the downpour they faced towards the end yesterday. This is the first sprint at 46 kilometres at Ussel, and the boy in green getting there first, Laurent Jalabert, to increase his lead by another 6 points in the sprinters competition for that green jersey. It was a bit of a chase though, because they had to catch Miguel Indurain, who was caught in fact just about 400 metres before the line. Claudio Chiappucci responsible for the chase, and he got second place ahead of Miguel. But by the time the field reached the feed here, 50 kilometres out into the race, there had been an attack by Marc Sergeant of Panasonic, Jean-Claude Calotti of the Z team, Franz Masson of the Butler team. Coming through the feed here at 102 kilometres covered, they had a lead of 10 minutes and 20 seconds over Philippe Louvio of France and Guy Nullens, the Panasonic teammate of Marc Sergeant. The main field passing through 11 minutes and 50 seconds in arrears. So it looks like it's up to Alan Piper now to decide whether or not he should chase them down.
Well, it looks like they're away forever. There's 3 guys out in front, a Buckler and a Panasonic and a Z. And the Onsays aren't going to ride. I think we're just going to walk along like this to the finish. It's a bit shitty because I got my good wheels in for today. Maybe tomorrow, who knows. Newlands here hopes they stay away. His mates in the group in front. They had strict instructions that there had to be one of their riders in every group. And if there wasn't, then they had to chase him. I'm going to be glad when I get home next Monday anyway. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Alan, it won't be too long before you get home, and you know you have ridden really well in this year's Tour de France. It's been a real hard race, and this is one man who's still finding a bit of energy, because now Jean-Claude Colotti, and there's the time gap, has attacked his 2 teammates. This attack, in fact, coming at 155 kilometres covered. Well, not teammates, but 2 team rivals who are with him in that breakaway. He sensed that the Panasonic rider, Sergeant, was not pulling his weight. He sprinted away on a very flat road, and Franz Massen threw his arms up in the air and gestured to the Panasonic rider, Sergeant, to take up the chase, which he didn't do. And now, Paul, Colotti's got this lead of 1 minute 40 seconds.
Very strange move, actually, because they're actually seeing the race disappearing away from them. Franz Massen had done a lot of work with Jean-Claude Colotti, and when he actually attacked, he looked at Sargent to try and come through and work with him, but he totally refused. And now that they've seen that what's happening, Sargent is starting to come through, but they're really not working too hard, and Colotti is pulling away all the time. Sargent may be waiting for reinforcements to come from behind, but Guy Newlands, his teammate, is over 5 minutes back.
And there he is, Jean-Claude Colotti, a rider who finished 5th in Paris-Roubaix and 4th in the Amstel Gold Race. 2 World Cup races this year. We'll see him in action in the Wincanton Classic too, that's for sure, as he makes progress in the World Cup competition. And we'll be showing you that on Channel 4 television on the 16th of August. But right now, Colotti's main concern is to try and win a stage of the Tour de France. He's a sprinter, and how nice it is to see a sprinter stick his neck out and have a go.
Brilliant move by Colotti to take that risk, because there's still a long way to go. He's still got about 27 kilometers to go, and it is a risk because behind the field is actually falling back at the moment. The field are now 11.5 minutes back. And it was a good move to try and outwit the two other riders there, the Belgian and the Dutchman. And you see Franz Massen really isn't happy at all with Mark Sargent here. And Sargent saying, look, I've got my team orders, I've got a man from behind, I've been told not to work with you. And Massen really is upset.
And in fact, Mark Sergeant there not at all happy as we go back to Jean-Claude Colotti. Well, Mr. Moulton, you've asked us on our telephone line how it is possible to get advanced information on the route for next year's Tour de France. Well, I'm afraid it is a closely guarded secret by the organisation. All they will say is the race will be centred on France next year and based probably for the start in Brittany. But the route itself is not declared until the press conference in October, so nobody knows until then. The main reason being, of course, the organisation like to be first to book up the hotels around the route before we all move in. And again, we've had a lot of requests to say, why aren't we showing anything of the Women's Tour de France? Well, the reason is there isn't a Women's Tour de France at the moment, although it is planned to make its re-entry onto the calendar this year. But it has been moved to the end of the summer and does no longer run concurrently with the men's event. Oh, Colotti has set himself something like a 30-mile time trial to the finish here today. Let's have a look at this. 2 minutes 17, so the 2 riders behind are falling away very quickly. Here they are not in unison at all, and Franz Massen is looking very unhappy about the whole thing.
It's a shame to have been away for such a long period of time, built up a brilliant lead over the main field, and then have one of the men in their break trying those tactics of deciding to sit on totally, using that as an excuse. And I think now both of them are losing a chance to win the stage here in the Tour de France. It's going to be very strange now when Guy Newlands comes back from behind. You'll have 2 Panasonics in the group, and now they will have to chase. And I'm quite sure that if that's the situation, Franz Massen will not help them at all.
Mr. Griffiths has also asked us an interesting question, and he said, apart from the 1989 Tour de France, what other has there been another Tour de France which has been won on the final day? You may recall that Greg LeMond won the Tour de France in 1989 on the Champs-Élysées by just 8 seconds when he beat Laurent Fignon in that final time trial to take the final yellow jersey. Well, yes, it has been won before. From memory, Mr. Griffiths, the one that stands out is the previous tight finish on the Tour de France when Jan Janssen beat Herman van Springel in 1968 in the last day time trial to also win the race on the very last day. Well, the Z riders now, without their team leader, Greg LeMond, are trying to salvage something out of this Tour de France. Jean-Claude Colotti is trying for a stage win to give the team that nice morale booster. Every day, the riders' first prize is £5,000 or $10,000, and that's always worth winning, of course. The overall prize, by the way, in the Tour de France, which Miguel Indurain looks set to collect now, is £200,000. And so that is the big prize in the Tour de France, as Jean-Claude Colotti today thinks only of the stage win on the road to Montluçon. We'll take a break.
Now, as you know, when riders finish in a bunch at the line, they're all given the same time, but that's not the case as far as individual positions go. And if you've ever wondered, as I have, how on earth the results are worked out for the stage finish and for the general classification, then we're about to find out, because it all takes place in this little cabin behind me. Or rather, it starts on the cabin roof, where a specialised camera does what the human eye can't: slow the race down to a manageable speed. Within a couple of minutes, a negative is produced, and before the second bunch of riders is in, the race to identify the first is on. While a commissaire calls out the jersey numbers, forms for each rider are filled in by hand. At the same time, the results are fed into the Tour computer. One operator working on the stage result, another working out its effect on the general classification. For speed, the first 10 placings are handwritten and posted on the window outside. They're also flashed simultaneously to race commentators at the line and journalists possibly several miles away in the salle de presse. Meanwhile, wary of computer error, another commissaire back at the cabin checks all the new general classification standings against the previous days to identify any discrepancies. As more riders come in, the process is repeated. Timings on the Tour are done by hand, because any automatic system would be triggered by motorbikes and Tour cars as well as the cyclists. In a small van next door, the computer printouts are copied, and 20 minutes after the first man has crossed the line, the provisional stage result is ready for distribution to us so that we can bring it to you. So now when you hear Phil say at the end of the show that the results we have so far are provisional, you know why. Now, back to the racing.
Well, time is something this man is not worried about today. He's got plenty of it in hand too, but overall Jean-Claude Colotti is almost 3 hours behind Miguel Indurain, and there he is at the top of our picture in the main field here. But right now, today, Paul, he seems to have run away with this stage, which I find quite amazing, the way the Belgian and the Dutch rider have let him go.
Well, I'm not surprised he got away from the main field, because neither of the riders in the group there were a danger to Miguel Indurain, but I'm very surprised in the way that he managed to get away from the rest of the group there.
Well, the face of Colotti is a picture of pain, but it's one of determination. He is determined to get his first ever stage win in the Tour de France today, and it's building all of the time. Let's have a look at the stats today. 131 riders left the start line, and one rider has given up. Sadly, it's Dmitry Konishev, the former Soviet rider who won 2 stages of the race a year ago and was due to celebrate with Alan Piper when they got to the Champs-Élysées. Sadly, that won't happen now. He's retired sick today. And there we are, 5 kilometers to go now for Jean-Claude Colotti. The speed, though, we're still on that record speed, and this ride by Colotti today is keeping us on it too. 40 kilometers an hour, 25 miles an hour, the average today. 39.453 is the overall average of the Tour. The leaders, Indurain, of course, in yellow. The polka dot owned now by Chiappucci with 409 points. The green, a little bit solid, more solid a leader here now in Laurent Jalabert. He's won some points today, but he started off the day with 207. He now has 213. Well, the last time check we had on the main field, they were 40 minutes back, and look at this. We've been so used to seeing the arrowhead of the chase group of the main field. Either the Onsays were driving the race to the finish for Laurent Jalabert, but Colotti, you see, is helping everybody here. He doesn't endanger the yellow jersey. He doesn't endanger the green jersey of Jalabert, and by the same token, they're leaving the Lotto team and Johan Museo out of the chance of winning the stage and taking the majority of the green jersey points today. So the attack by Colotti is working in everybody's favour, and they're letting him go. And the young Frenchman is going to have his day. A long breakaway today because this break went at 50 kilometres with Marc Sergeant and Franz Masson with him. And we're now approaching the end of the 189 kilometre stage today. So 130 kilometres in the lead, 140 almost. That's around about 75, 80 miles. And Colotti, whose birthday was just before this Tour de France started, and he's now coming home, 31 years of age, Jean-Claude Colotti, and about to land the biggest win of his career.
The reason he's not easing up at all before he gets to the line is he's probably going through the back of his mind there when he was so close to winning a stage in Bordeaux a couple of years ago, and he was picked on the line. Today, he doesn't want to take any risks, and he won't be far off seeing the red flag, I think, when he takes this corner to the right-hand side. And there it is, just above us. There's the red kite. 1 kilometre to go for Jean-Claude Colotti. He looks up quickly over his shoulder, but he must know he's got a large margin of security.
I think he could get off and walk to the finish now, even from the two riders who are chasing him in. But he's going to savour this last kilometre in today's stage of the Tour de France, because this is the first day the big field have turned off the gas since this Tour left from Spain almost 3 weeks ago, and they've allowed this man to have his head. But it's never easy. You've got to have the aggression to make the attack before everything works in your favour. It was only when he got the time gap that he realised he was in with a chance of winning this stage. As soon as he sensed that rivalry between Masson and Sergeant, he went on his own. So you don't get anything in the Tour. Nobody gives you anything. Even though the margin may be big now, you've got to get out there and take it for yourself. And Jean-Claude Colotti has done that now. Oh, look at this. He's going to love this now. He's done it for his best win of his career at 31 years of age. Jean-Claude Colotti of France. A nice consolation prize here for the Z team, who lost Greg LeMond in the Alps. You'd think he was conducting an orchestra. Oh, he says, this is for me. And he's worked hard enough to salute the crowd who welcome him here. Now, Sergeant, the Belgian, has manoeuvred the Dutchman at 1 kilometre to go in front of him. I don't think he'll be too quick to come round him now.
He won't wait for a while. He'll just wait till they get to 300-400 metres to go. And Franz Masson really must be thinking over in his mind, if I'd just gone with Colotti at that instant, well, maybe we could have sorted something out later on. And he really has lost an occasion which doesn't often present itself in the Tour de France. These kind of occasions are very rare and very far between.
Well, Marc Sergeant at the back made his professional debut after he won the Belgian Amateur Championship, which was 11 years ago. And since then, he's been the Belgian Professional Championship. He won that title in 1986. Now, can he take on Franz Masson? You can see how he respects the man from Holland. He's making him now take him to the line, and he'll try and jump him in the last 150 metres. But Masson has said, OK, well, I know where you are. He'll ride close to the crowd line to force the Belgian to come through on his right shoulder. And now he's starting the run for the line. But he's gone a little bit wide there. He may open the door. Oops, and a little bit of a waiver there from Marc Sergeant. But now Masson goes. I think he'll find Masson that little bit too quick for him. He is a good finisher. He's won the Amstel Gold Race, but look at this now as Marc Sergeant goes. It's very close on the line. It'll go to the photo, but you know it might show us that the Belgian rider won that on the right of our picture. Well, we can see the presentation taking place here at the finishing line. And we're still waiting for the fourth rider to finish. Jean-Claude Colotti has been presented to the crowd, and the Tour de France is still on the open road. And there they are. The yellow jersey, and the day's work not over yet for Miguel Indurain, while meanwhile at the finishing line Jean-Claude Colotti is already stepping down off the winner's podium. And 8 minutes has ticked by, as you can see on the left of our picture there, and now the attack coming from Philippe Louvio. And Guy Nulland is half asleep. And this really hasn't been the day for Panasonic, has it? They missed the move when Colotti goes. Then Marc Sergeant has a problem with Frans Maassen. And now Guy Nulland has been outmanoeuvred here by Philippe Louvieux, who gets 4th place. And Jalabert up into 3rd place now. Little word in the ear there, I think it was Neil Stevens. But again, that's the sharp bend, gone very, very wide indeed. But you see, Museo is holding on to the wheel of Jalabert. And just 2 Once riders left now. And there's a rider here, this must be Soren Lilholt. Well, we saw him break away, which seems like hours ago, and we've never seen him since, but he's been out there by himself all day. And now he's coming in on his own. Over 15 minutes back. Whoa, what a long day in the saddle this has been. What happened to the rest of the Tour de France? So he gets the 6th place, and that's even worse for Museo. We're fighting out for 7th place here. Two Once riders now, they'll drop away, and they hope that leaves 1 now to launch Jalabert into space. But Museo's gone early. Museo has gone very, very early. It could be, in fact, Sammy Morels has gone with him. But this is an excellent sprint finish here. In fact, it's Peter de Klerk who's helping out. But there goes Museo, and Museo looks to be quicker today. Museo gets it on the line. Jean-Paul Van Poppel came up quickly. Peter de Klerk was there. But Jalabert lost a couple of places. Nothing serious, though. And so Laurent Jalabert, at the end of the day, will be very pleased with the way his competition has gone. Miguel Indurain will be delighted of the easy day he's had in the big peloton of the Tour de France. And the happiest man of them all, well, that'll be Jean Colotti of France. Another French victory of a stage in the Tour de France. Jean-Claude Colotti winning today by a big margin, 3 minutes 31 seconds ahead of Frans Maassen and Marc Sergeant. The main field coming in, fighting out 7th place today, won by Johan Museo, and they were 16 minutes and 15 seconds behind. Well, there really wasn't very much chance for Jelle Nijdam to repeat the epic ride of his father 26 years ago. Paul Sherwin spoke to him at the finish.
So Jelle, you wanted to try and follow in your father's footsteps today, but it didn't work out.
No, the races was not for me today. It was 3 men away, 2 after the first group. And yeah, then it's finished. They have 10 or 11 minutes, and yeah, then it's over.
Strange race in the front. What do you think your father would think of tactics like that?
I think he's very angry now. I know my father, and he said, stupid race. But yeah, that's racing.
The tactics didn't suit Jelle Nijdam. They also didn't suit his teammate Frans Maassen, nor the bitter rival on the Panasonic, Marc Sergeant. In fact, both Sergeant and Frans Maassen are personal friends and said they would happily race with each other on the same team. But there is this inbred rivalry between the 2 top teams from Holland. You know, tonight, both team managers are almost in tears, and they said there must be an end to this bitter rivalry. Well, surely that is in their hands to stop. Let's have a look at the overall classification. No change at all after that leisurely ride for the main field. Miguel Indurain still that same time gap, 1 minute 42 seconds ahead of Claudio Chiappucci, and all the rest of the riders the same time gaps tonight. A quick word about our competition. We would like you to name the winner of the stage of the final day of the Tour de France on the Champs-Élysées. You can phone your entry to this number, 0891 500 112, or you can send your entry by postcard, please, to this address: Fortel, Tour de France Competition, 142 Lower Marsh, London SE1 7AE. The cards must reach us by first post this Saturday. So the Tour de France goes on. 130 riders left in this race now. The flat roads continue tomorrow as we continue north towards Tours. We'll see you there. From me, Gary, and Paul, goodbye.